Okay, let me turn to Representative Luna. You've taken up this case, and you've done it at a time when Drake has shared a petition to have Tory Lanez released. Chris Brown posted "Free Tory" on his Instagram story. Kanye West has supported his release as well. I want to play, before I get your explanation for why you've taken up this case, I want to play, this is a version of events from Thee Stallion herself, from her own documentary about what she says happened.
We left to go home. I was in the car with Tory and his driver and Kelsey. We are all arguing. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I knew I was talking shit. He probably was a little offended. I tried to get out the car one time. I'm over it. They was like, Megan, get back in the car, get back in the car. We almost to your house. I get out the car again. I ain't even got shit. Just got on a swimsuit. And I'm walking off, and this mother started hollering at me. He was like, dance.
It's a very dramatic sort of recounting there in animated form of what happened. She then talked about it again in an interview with Gayle King on CBS, the morning show there, in 2022. Let's take a look at this.
So I get out the car, and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, dance, and he started shooting. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, he shot a couple of times. And I was so scared. In the car? I didn't even want to move. I didn't want to move too quick. Like, cause I'm like, oh my God, if I take the wrong step, I don't know if he can shoot something that's like super important. I don't know if he could shoot me and kill me. Like.
And the final clip I want to play, this is where in her own documentary again, she talks about that interview and admits she may not have been entirely truthful. Let's take a look at this.
Yes, I lied to Gayle King. First of all, I didn't know that bitch asked me about it. I always want to talk about this shooting. Why'd you ask me about the story? That's not what this is about. Even if I was once, maybe twice on a drunk night, but you kept catching me out of my mind.
Now, I don't think you need to be a conspiracy theorist, Representative Luna, to see there's a lot of inconsistency going on here. You know, she denied to Gayle King that there was any relationship with Tory. She then admits that there had been, that she lied. She doesn't admit to lying about the circumstances of the shooting, but certainly this goes to the heart of her veracity. Why have you taken up this case?
Well, first of all, Pierce, thank you so much for having us on to discuss this. And I just want to applaud you and your outlet for actually being able to showcase some of the facts here. Look, I don't have any connections to the rap industry, Mr. West, Mr. Brown. The only people that I really know involved in this are Miss Amber Rose, who actually initially flagged this for me and connected me with Tory's attorney. And when I looked at the evidence, and remember, I'm a member of House Oversight and Accountability, and I actually am the chairwoman of a task force that conducts investigations, most notably into the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So I'm all about the facts. And what I can tell you is that the evidence in this case overwhelmingly speaks to the fact that Mr. Lanez is actually being incarcerated, I would say, as an innocent man. And what I can tell you is, you know, even to your question on what happened with who indeed may have pulled the trigger and, you know, allegedly shot Megan Thee Stallion. Look, I don't know Miss Stallion, but what I can tell you is that the evidence says that there are no bullet fragments and that there are x-rays that the legal team, Mr. Lane's team, actually has that we'll be presenting. What I can also tell you is based on the evidence that I've seen, you know, again, that number 0.01% DNA match, alleging that it's Mr. Lane's, when in actuality, you know, they actually did not choose to test the other 4 individuals there. No fingerprints found on the magazine. By any arguable case, if this was a murder trial, he would actually be acquitted because there is no evidence. And so what I will tell you is, you know, one of the things that people ask is, well, why are you getting involved as a federal representative when this is a California state? He's not from, you know, Florida here, or he's not represented by a Florida member of Congress. You know, what purview do you have? And what I will say, Pierce, is that I have a platform reform, and I have the ability on a federal level to impact prison reform. And what I can tell you is everything in this case, I don't believe that he was actually given due process. I believe it was a stacked trial. I believe the evidence speaks for itself. And I am willing to actually cross party lines to work with the Democrats to secure pardon from Governor Newsom's office. And we're currently in the process of setting up talks with Governor Newsom. I do think that he is going to do the right thing. I think that the evidence speaks for itself. You know, I didn't know that Drake had posted that petition, but what I will tell you is that that was the right thing for him to do. And I hope more women specifically in the rap community can come forward and speak to this truth, because as you heard from Ms. Stallion herself, she admitted to lying to Gayle King. And what I will also tell you is I'm also have been informed that there's actually ring footage, and that will likely also be released here pretty soon. I know we are helping to put the evidence out there to the American people. But I do believe that this is really a terrible case, and what was done to this family is unacceptable. And I will be continuing to push for his full pardon. I think that people owe them an apology. And furthermore, I'd like to finally say this, that I actually spoke to Mr. Lanez on the phone in prison yesterday, actually. And he is actually going to get very involved in criminal justice reform to ensure that this doesn't happen to other people, because in his case, he has an incredible family supporting him. He has the financial backing to fight this, but many people don't. And so that's where we are going to continue to champion these causes at the federal level, even all the way to the White House and in Washington, D.C.
Well, I mean, I'd love to talk to him myself. It does sound a fascinating story. Just before I let you go, just to be clear, do you actually think a gun was fired at all then? Or could that in itself be in question? And if it was fired, who do you think fired it?
You know, I don't know who fired it, but what I will tell you is that based on the evidence that I've seen and that the Tory's attorneys will be presenting to the American people, I think that there are a lot of things in question. And I would say that, look, Pierce, you know that I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I grew up in a very rough area. I was at a high school where there was a gang shooting. When someone gets shot, there's evidence of that. My husband was shot in Afghanistan in 2014, and the evidence isn't lining up.
So you do not think she was actually shot?
I'm not a criminal investigator in that sense. So I'm just going to go on record for saying that the evidence as of right now is showing that there are no bullet fragments that have been presented, which I'll let people assume what they will not.
Okay.